My name is Dalton Green. I'm a Refuge small group leader at First Baptist Church, and I was asked today just to talk a little bit about my faith. I specifically wanted to share today just a little bit about what I feel like God has been teaching me in this season. I'm going to be talking a little bit about Philippians today and Paul's letter to the Philippians. But I first want to start off with the everyday convenience of life. We have pretty much have all those convenience stripped from us, whether it be going to church or the grocery store or work or school or going to visit with a friend, whatever it may be, it's been taken from us from something we can't control. And in a time where we feel so out of control and we feel so anxious and we feel so discontent, I wanted to stop and ask myself why we, and specifically I, felt this way. And that's when I was rereading Paul's letter to the Philippians, and I kind of understood why. You see, I understood that I bought into this lie that society sells us every day, that you need to have X, Y, and Z to be content. But Paul says in his letter to the Philippians that that's simply not true. Paul understands that true commitment doesn't come from this world. True commitment can only be found in Jesus. And that's the point that Paul hammers home again and again and again. So I just want to start off by reading a little passage, Philippians 1, starting in verse 21. You see, for me, to live is Christ and to die is gain. If I am to live in the flesh, that means fruitful labor for me. Yet, which I shall choose, I cannot tell. You see, I am hard pressed between the two. My desire is to depart and be with Christ, for that is far better. But to remain in the flesh is more necessary on your own account. You see, Paul has the kind of faith that I so envy. He wants to die so he can go be with the Father. Not many of us can say we want to die right now. But I want to be more like that. And in his letter, Paul constantly hits home that he's like this because he understands the true joy that is to be found, the true contentment that is to be found in Christ Jesus. I want to share a little passage from a pastor I like out of Texas named Matt Chandler. He has a book where he explores Paul's letter to the Philippians. And in one of his passages, Matt Chandler writes this: "We live in a world where there is more to do than there have ever been in the history of mankind. There are more things to see, more places to go, and easier means to get there. We live in the most entertained world that humanity has ever experienced. And yet, most of us are bored out of our minds and frustrated. You see, contentment is unbelievably important in this world. Not just happiness, but contentment. And here's what Paul has said: absent of all the conveniences of the modern world, and in all the suffering of the ancient one, I don't need anything. I've learned to be content in every situation." I'd almost argue that it's harder for Paul to be content in those days than if he was facing the same situation now. You see, we are blessed with so many conveniences in this world we so often take for granted. Paul didn't have any of those conveniences. Yet, he's writing from prison, and he understands that whether I'm in prison or I'm a free man or whatever it may be, that I am truly content in Christ. You see, Paul doubles down on it and saying, to live is Christ, to die is gain. You want to kill me? Great, to die is gain. You want to leave me in prison to rot? Awesome, to live is Christ. You want to torture me? That's fine. You see, because in Romans 8, Paul says, I consider the suffering of this present time. It's not worthy to be compared with the glory that is to be revealed to us. Paul understands a concept that is often so hard for many of us, including myself, to wrap our head around. He understands that the suffering and the discontentment that this world brings is not the suffering that Jesus brings. Jesus brings abundant life, as he promises in John 10. Jesus brings contentment, as Paul writes in the letter to the Philippians. And I just feel like God has been teaching me this over and over again in this season. When I'm left with my own thoughts at night, or when I want to run and go see one of my friends, he says, no, stop. Be content with where you are. Be content in what you have, because you have all you need. And I have all that I need in Christ Jesus. So thanks for letting me share. I just wanted to share that with you guys, and I hope that you guys can apply it to your life as I try to apply it to mine. I hope you guys all stay safe, and thanks.